The sun sets. You have no walls, no locked door, no streetlight outside your window. This was every night for our ancestors for roughly 300,000 years. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. Without claws, without fangs, without fast legs, what exactly were humans supposed to do once it got dark? The honest answer is not much. Human night vision is barely better than average. We are slow. We are soft. In total darkness, a human is closer to prey than predator. And ancient darkness was not modern darkness. No glow from a screen, no distant city light bouncing off clouds. Anthropologists studying pre-industrial darkness describe it as a near-total absence of light, the kind where your own hand disappears in front of your face. Somewhere out in that blackness were hyenas, cave lions, wolves, sometimes other humans with bad intentions. So how did a species this physically unequipped survive millions of nights like this? One tool changed everything: fire. Evidence of controlled fire use stretches back at least 1 million years, based on burned bone and ash deposits found at sites like Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa. That is not a small detail. That is one of the most important survival technologies our species ever produced. Fire did far more than cook food. It pushed predators back. It extended visibility into the night. It created a small defensible perimeter where a sleeping body was suddenly much harder to ambush. But fire changed something else too, something internal. Researchers studying physiological responses to flame have found that watching fire actually lowers blood pressure and shifts the body into a state resembling meditation. Your nervous system, after hundreds of thousands of years of exposure, seems to read firelight as a direct signal. You are safe tonight. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Fire may have given humans something they never had before: spare time. Before fire, when the light failed, the day simply ended. There was nothing useful left to do in pure darkness. But firelight created a window, a few extra hours when survival tasks paused and something else could happen. Talking, thinking, telling stories. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied modern hunter-gatherer communities in the Kalahari and found something striking. Daytime conversation revolved almost entirely around practical matters: complaints, logistics, conflict. Nighttime conversation, gathered around fire, shifted dramatically toward storytelling. So ask yourself this: is it really a coincidence that complex language and shared mythology appear to flourish in exactly the conditions firelight created? Some researchers now argue that human culture itself may have been built largely after dark, around flame, not during the daylight hunt. Now think about where they actually slept. At Sibudu Cave in South Africa, archaeologists uncovered bedding dated to roughly 77,000 years old. This was not a careless pile of leaves. It was layered, engineered. The base layer was ash, which insulated against cold stone and discouraged insects. The middle layer was soft plant matter for comfort. The top layer used specific leaves containing natural insect-repelling compounds. In other words, your ancestors were building anti-parasite mattresses tens of thousands of years before the invention of writing. And when the bedding became dirty or infested, the solution was simple: burn it. Start over. But the strangest discovery about ancient sleep isn't the bedding. It's the schedule. For most of human history, sleep wasn't one continuous block. Historian Roger Ekirch, examining centuries of pre-industrial records, documented something called segmented sleep. People went to bed shortly after dark, slept for several hours, woke naturally in the middle of the night, stayed alert for an hour or two, and then returned to a second sleep phase until morning. That waking period had a name in old texts: watching. People used it to think, pray, talk quietly, or simply exist in the dark without panic. Today, waking at 3 a.m. gets labeled a disorder. Back then, it was simply Tuesday. So what changed? Artificial light changed it. The Industrial Revolution introduced rigid shift schedules and electric lighting, and segmented sleep largely disappeared within a few generations. Your body, though, may not have caught up. Why does total silence feel unsettling to sleep in? Why does rain sound oddly comforting at night? Why does a glowing phone screen at midnight trick your brain into alertness? Because your nervous system is still running ancient software built for firelight and darkness, now operating inside an apartment full of LED bulbs. And then there are dreams. Imagine experiencing vivid, uncontrollable hallucinations every single night, with zero scientific framework to explain them. Dead relatives appearing, impossible landscapes, creatures that don't exist anywhere in waking life. With no neuroscience to fall back on, ancient cultures across the world independently arrived at a similar conclusion. Dreams weren't malfunctions. They were visits, messages, doorways into something else entirely. Here's the uncomfortable irony. Our ancestors lived surrounded by real, immediate, nightly danger. No walls, no locks, no antibiotics. And yet, many slept in rhythm with their own bodies, waking and resting when biology asked them to. We, meanwhile, are almost certainly the safest humans who have ever existed. And still, we lie there at 2 a.m., wide awake, staring at a ceiling, completely unable to do the one thing our bodies have been trying to do for 300,000 years.